I'm 32 now. I was diagnosed with CIS, clinical isolated syndrome. What happened was I actually lost hearing in my right ear. Not all the way, but it was very muffled, very, very muffled. And it impacted my hearing a lot. Um, and I went to an ENT to look in my ears, and he thought I might have some sort of tumor in my brain. So I got an MRI done. When I got an MRI done, that's when they saw that I had lesions in my brain. And he was like, you have to go to a neurologist right away. So I went to a neurologist right away. I got the spinal tap, which was the worst experience of my entire life. I had a lot of complications from it. It was so painful. And that came back inconclusive. So at the time, I didn't have any active lesions when I got the MRI, but they just saw lesions in my brain. And then at the time, they wanted me to go on medicine, but I chose not to. And I also kind of related. I always had stomach problems, so I gave up that same year gluten and dairy, and that helped a lot with my stomach problems. But that was already something that I started to change
Did
back
you
then.
change that before your diagnosis, or you were
It's
aware of
kind of
that?
like in conjunction with my diagnosis.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Your story is almost like mine because
Oh,
I
really?
went to an ENT and because I didn't hear anything on my left ear,
Oh,
he sent me to get an
wow.
MRI and they first diagnosed me with CIS. And the second doctor and the third doctor confirmed that no, you have MS and you have to get on medication right away. And I didn't. So it's so far the same.
Oh, it's nice to hear when someone has a very similar story to yourself. I mean, I know with this diagnosis, it seems that everyone has so many different kind of symptoms and stories, but they all kind of align. But it's nice to hear someone who has like a very, very similar. You're the first one I've heard that was like very similar to mine. So,
Yeah, it's very similar. Do you see a neurologist every year? Do you have MRIs?
so when I first got diagnosed, I think I waited 2 years from then to get another MRI. And that MRI wasn't different to my first one. So nothing, I didn't have any more lesions. I didn't have anything else. I was like, ooh, maybe just going gluten-free and dairy-free is working. We'll get to this, I'm sure. But in hindsight, now last year I did a total overhaul because I had a flare-up, which was my first flare-up. And I did a total overhaul of my entire lifestyle, things that I was eating. So I eat very differently now than I did even this time last year or when I first got diagnosed. And it's funny because when I gave up gluten and dairy, I thought I was eating so healthy, but I really wasn't. I was eating a lot of like packaged gluten and dairy-free things, but they also put so many other horrible things in those
Yeah.
packages. And um, it's just funny now how I eat. Looking back, I'm like, wow, I really was not eating that well. And I thought I was.
Yes. When the first time you heard about the diagnosis, you didn't go back to the doctor for 2 years. Does that mean that you weren't scared of the future, or it was just something you didn't want to focus on?
I think it was something I didn't want to focus on. And I truly thought being gluten and dairy free was enough. So I was very set on what I'm doing is enough, even though now I know it wasn't. And even what I was eating back then wasn't. But at the time, I mean, not to blame it on this, but I was so young that I really thought that that was enough to keep me good for the rest of my life. I was scared. And when I got diagnosed, I was definitely having panic attacks and things like that. But eventually I got to a place where I thought what I was doing was enough. And it kind of was until for 9 years.
What do you think caused your flare?
Stress, um, stress on my job, most likely. Doing gluten and dairy free, not eating as many vegetables. I never ate vegetables. Not that I didn't like them, I just never incorporated them into what I was eating. I'm Italian, so I eat a lot of pasta and like things like that. Even though it's gluten free, I mean, it's still not, I follow the Wall's protocol now. So it's very, very, very Very different,
Yeah.
and strict, which I've grown to love, but it's so different than what I was doing beforehand.
So
Um,
you don't eat any gluten-free pasta anymore?
I do have gluten-free pasta, a little bit. I have it once or twice a week.
Which one is your favorite brand?
I like Jovial.
Joya. Okay, I like Bio Nature.
Oh, I haven't tried
It
that
has
one.
corn in it, so it might not align
Oh,
with your
yes.
diet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm staying off corn right now, which seems to be working. So
What
I'm
about rice?
rice, yes. I do a little bit of rice, but I try to limit my starches. So I'll only do starch like once or twice a week. Every Sunday, we have it's called Sauce Sunday. So my mom makes like a big sauce with it could be any type of sauce. It could be red sauce, it could be clam sauce, like it could be any type of like Italian pasta dish. But she makes me my own separate one, which is gluten-free and dairy-free always. So um
I
yeah,
love that.
thank you.
So what else did you change?
So I changed my diet. I changed my lifestyle. I don't really drink alcohol. Previously I was still drinking a lot and getting to the point probably that I should not have been, with having this.
Hard. It's hard being Italian and not drinking wine, I feel.
Yes. Wine and pasta, it's hard.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't really drink anymore. Really, my big thing too is trying to be less stressed. Like stress was a really, really, really big thing for me, whether it was from work or if it was from family, just any of those like outside stressors were really, really big for me, I think. So trying to limit that. I do meditate. I love going for walks whenever I'm feeling really stressed out about something or going to the gym. So just kind of getting a hold of my stress levels.
Do you feel like MS changed your future when you look back at the age you were diagnosed?
Yes. At first, I was really scared. So when I got diagnosed with CIS, I don't think I know it is related, but I don't think I really understood how related it is to actually getting diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I just knew I had lesions in my brain, but I was fine, like at that time until I had my big flare last year, really. So kind of when I was going through all of that again, it kind of brought up all of those like really scared emotions that I had 9, 10 years ago. And I was really scared for my future. I remember this was last year. I remember being out to dinner with my husband and my mother-in-law, and we were talking about a trip that's coming up this fall, so fall 2025. And I was crying at the table out to dinner because I was so scared to even think about next year. Um, but I mean, just having the control of being able to change your lifestyle and your diet and knowing that that works and your body can heal if you do that has made me more excited for the future, and less scared about it.
What was the flare like? What kind of symptoms did you have and how long it lasted?
Yeah, it was funny because it was happening for a week. So let's say it was on a Monday. The inside of my mouth felt weird. I actually thought I was allergic to my toothpaste. So I was having like a very weird sensation on my tongue, and it was more the left side of my mouth. And that was going on for about a week. And then I was working, I work remotely. So I was working on my laptop. I was on a call with my boss, and all of a sudden, the whole left side of my face, from the inside of my mouth to the left side of my lip, and then all through here and down my neck went numb. It was tingling, but it felt like thick tingling. I know that sounds weird, but it was just like a very odd sensation that I never felt before. And as soon as I felt that, knowing that I was having this strange sensation in my mouth the whole week, I went to the hospital. I went to the ER. I got an MRI, and I was having an active lesion at that time. And that's when I say I officially got diagnosed with MS. I mean, even though I got diagnosed with CIS 10 years ago, like that was when I truly like realized like, oh crap, I need to do something because this is not fun. And I never want to feel this ever again in my life. So right after I got out of the hospital, I went 0 to 100 on the walls protocol.
How long it took the feeling to come back and the numbness to go away?
Well, they put me on steroids and I mean, that helped, but I would say about a month for everything
Mhm.
to.
And you still didn't want to start medication? What was the reason behind that?
I'm more scared of the medication and the side effects of it than I was of doing it holistically. I still am. I'm terrified of the side effects of medication. So as long as I can do this holistically, I'm going to do that.
I feel like you have a feeling inside that you have control over this disease and it's not
Mhm.
controlling you. Is that right?
Yeah, it is right.
So other than diet, meditation, tell me how is your day look like? Like getting up in the morning. Do you still have the same boss, same job?
I do. I do have, yes, yes, I do have the same job. I work from home, which is really nice. So I'll wake up, I'll make breakfast. I'm on many supplements. So I'll make breakfast, I'll take my supplements, I'll sign on to work. With work too, I've put in a lot of boundaries, just to help my stress level. So prior, I would work like 12, 14 hours a day, not take a lunch. And it's hard when you work remotely too, because you don't have those like breaks. But I put those boundaries in place to make sure I am getting a lunch. If I sign on at 8, I'm signing off at 4 or 9 to 5. Like I'm putting those boundaries where I'm not working over because my health really isn't worth it.
Yes. Are you planning having children?
Yeah. Yeah. So I got married in October 2022. Um,
Congratulations.
thank you. So it's going to be 3 years in October. We are planning on having children. I just wanted, and we both wanted to make sure that I was okay. I had everything, I had the MS all under control before we even started to really think about that or plan for that. So it's coming.
Wishing you good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know, now that I look back, I was diagnosed in March and I had a miscarriage a few months prior my diagnosis. And then a
Okay.
month after my diagnosis, I became pregnant. And it wasn't even in my mind like, oh my God, what if? Like there was no what if. This is what I want. This is what I'm doing. MS is not gonna stop me. I'm getting
Yeah.
pregnant. I'm having my family. This was on my list.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yes. And it
How
worked out.
was that? Yeah, I was gonna say, how was it when you were pregnant?
The only thing I felt amazing during pregnancy, but I was very stressed. And now when I look back and I know how to manage stress now, back then I had no idea that stress could contribute any of my symptoms. This was like 6 years ago.
Okay.
Now everybody is starting to acknowledge and feel that stress is the number one that causing flares. Back then, everybody thought it's the environment, diet, who knows what.
Yeah.
But I I was very stressed during my pregnancy. I changed my diet completely. I stopped eating what I was eating before. I started with the divorce protocol as well. And I was so scared. I was not eating anything else but broccoli and chicken, basically, just to
Yeah.
make sure there's no more relapses until I
Yeah.
figure out what else I can eat.
Right.
So yeah, it's a learning curve.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Even with starting the Walls protocol, I wasn't exactly sure what I could eat, like you were saying with the chicken and broccoli. And I love cooking. I'm good at cooking. I like cooking. But there was this one day when I first got out of the hospital and I was just starting. I think I made chicken, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what spices I could have or if I could have spices or like sauce or anything. And I remember I put like one random peppercorn on each piece of chicken breast, and it was absolutely disgusting. And my husband was like, I don't know, Lori, I don't know about this. This is not that great. I'm like, I know, I just don't know what to have. But I've made up for that now that I know what I can eat.
Yes, yes. It's so interesting how like you look back and you smile at the whole experience, but
Yeah,
it's scary when you
it
have
is.
to almost learn a completely new lifestyle, language.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it feels like. And then even to go back to, being scared, one of my favorite things to do besides cooking is also traveling. So, as you could imagine, when you first get diagnosed with MS, traveling seems like such a long, so like in the distance that you can't even, or myself, I'll speak for myself, I couldn't even imagine like traveling again. I was just so scared about what if I go somewhere and then I have a flare up and then I horrible, or what am I going to eat when I go to travel to these places and things like that. But now I'm feeling a lot more comfortable and a lot more in control, like what we were saying, where we went away for the first time since being diagnosed officially to Puerto Rico, and it was great. I was able to eat things. I felt great. It was hot there. I still felt great. And I was able to still travel while being on the WALS protocol. So that gave me a little bit more of a confidence boost too, with being able to get back to things that I enjoyed doing before being diagnosed. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Yes, and you already practiced it for 10 years, 9 years. So,
Yeah.
do you know anybody with MS? Like, did you make new friendships since your diagnosis?
Yeah, so my half brother has MS. So he got diagnosed when I was still in high school. And I'm not going to tell too much of his story, but I'll just tell my experience just witnessing him having it. Um, but he went on a medication right when he got diagnosed because he was scared. The neurologist said that if he didn't go on the medication, he'd be in a wheelchair in 2 years. So he went on it. He got very, very, very sick from it, to the point where he couldn't get out of bed. He needed someone to come help him, and he was young. He was probably my age now. Um, and he's a lot older than me. I think we have a 16-year age difference. And that was scary for me to witness someone that you love be vibrant, and then all of a sudden you get diagnosed, you go on a medicine that you think is supposed to help, and then you get a lot worse than you were before. Um, so I saw that, and then he actually was the one to discover Dr. Terry Walls. And that was just so fascinating to me, like even at that time, which I feel like she was so ahead of the time. And that was fascinating to me that she was able to, really heal herself. So he implemented it. And when he implemented it, he was able to get out of bed. He was able to use his hands again. So I had like a real life experience of watching someone that I love get better from doing the WALS protocol. Um, and that ties to my story. When I first got diagnosed with CIS, I was a little naive thinking that going dairy-free and gluten-free was the whole WALS protocol. But that's why I believe so heavily that that could work instead of going on medication. Her story really resonated with me. And then I got the book, the WALS protocol, read it. And then I also got her cookbook too.
I
Um,
have both, yes.
yeah, at that time. And just seeing like all the other stories just in the cookbook, like not even talking about social media and everything, just seeing how it worked for so many other people, to me, it was kind of like a no-brainer that this could really help.
Yes. You mentioned supplements. Did anybody prescribe your supplements, or you just decided that this is what you should be taking?
Yes, my supplements are targeted to me. I did get blood work done and I saw what I was deficient in. So I do take supplements for those. Vitamin D was one, of course. I know that's very common in
Yeah.
people with MS. And then like omega-3s I take, choline. I'm blanking on the other ones. I have a neuro detox one that I take and a probiotic I also take. I also love the Paleo Valley Organ Meat Complex ones. I take those every day and I really like those
What kind
actually.
of supplements are those?
It's all organ meat. I know like Terry Walt was like so
Oh,
big on organ meat, but I just could
yes.
not stomach it. So it's all in like a little supplement. And
You know what? When I hear something three times in my life, it's something that I should be paying attention because there's a reason why the universe wants me to know. So I heard about these supplements probably more than three times, but now lately I've been finding that I'm having hard time sleeping after I eat meat. And I don't want to stop eating meat, but
yeah,
maybe I can eat less and supplement with these supplements.
yeah,
Thank you for mentioning it.
you're welcome. Yeah, yeah, I really like those actually too. So hopefully they help.
So, final question. Why are you sharing your story?
I'm sharing my story because I want people to know that it is possible to heal and it is possible to get in a good place with your diagnosis. I recently found out that what I'm doing is working. I go to he's a functional medicine, but he's also a conventional neurologist. So he believes in both. He's definitely more so a conventional neurologist. When I first went to him, he recommended for me to go on Ocrevus, and I declined. And he does this blood test where it shows your disease activity. When I first went to him, my disease activity was in the moderate. It goes low, moderate to high. I was at the high side of moderate. Then I implemented the Wells protocol. I implemented my targeted supplements. And then I got retested in January, and all of my numbers went from the high side of moderate to the low side of low. And that was a really big wake up call because I knew in my heart what I was doing was right for me. But it's hard to go against your family or a neurologist and everyone else saying that you should go on medicine. So that was kind of like my moment where I felt like I wanted to scream from the rooftops that like this is actually working. And if it worked for me, it could work for other people. And it was also hard for me to find people where they were diagnosed and they didn't go on medicine before they started the diet and lifestyle changes. Like I've seen a lot of people where they got diagnosed, they started with the DMT, and then they implemented diet, and then they were able to get off the DMT, which is amazing, totally amazing. But I haven't come across many, many, many people where they got diagnosed and then they started diet and lifestyle, and that was it.
I
So
know a lot of people.
yeah, good.
I do, yes. I know both aspects.
Yeah,
I
yeah, but
do want to know more about this blood test. What is he checking in your blood?
some biomarkers,
Okay.
yeah, they're very specific. I could probably send it to you. I don't know it off the top of my head, but yeah, I was so happy. I was really nervous when I was getting those results, and
If anybody is interested, can they message you on
yeah,
Instagram at this
yeah,
number?
definitely,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, I was also tested biomarkers, but it wasn't about inflammation. It was more about parasite activities.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. I think it's very important just to show these success stories that it's not always declining and progressing. It's you can stop it and you can live a healthy life.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I'm so happy to share my story and to help anyone who needs it.